back. And if you watched yesterday's video, you would have seen the comparison between the two I Love kits, the 16th scale Shermans. And I got to thinking, what if I did an additional comparison of the I Love, Sherman against Andy's Hobby Headquarters version? They both put out like a Korean War era tank with markings, and they're both 1/16 scale, and I thought, let's just check the quality between the two and just have a kind of an unbiased look at it. I got no skin in the game, so I'm just a consumer. Anyhow, so yeah, I've got that one laid out, and you can see that I've got a couple of turrets and hulls laid out, Andy stuff, and a big kahuna. That's 1/6 scale. It's huge! It's huge, man! Well, this morning, I actually had to stop this video. Mama came home and I was tired. So we're gonna go ahead and pick up where we left off. So I'm doing a comparison, obviously. We have two different brands. Actually, I've got three different brands here, but one comes assembled. It's radio controlled, pretty awesome tank. This is an older version of the Henglong Sherman. And just there were some questions from some folks on my YouTube channel about, is there a company that is going to produce the M4 Sherman in this configuration? All right, and the answer is yes. You're looking at an early production vehicle that probably has a cast turret, etc., etc. I Love kit is actually, they just announced in April that they had the M4 Sherman that they're releasing. So to those of you that are curious, yes, the kit does exist, but right now it looks like you can only order it from Hobby Link Japan, and it's a couple of $100. So yeah, there you have it. I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to pay all that shipping and stuff. So anyhow, getting back to this, I have all the different scales listed here: 72nd, 35th, 16th scale, and then way over here, I have a 1/6 scale Dragon Models Sherman that I've never started, and I've had that tank for, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many years. Interesting thing on this, there's zero cast texture on that turret. Everything is super smooth, and so I'm going to have to do some research to figure out how to get a scale texture applied to that. And I suspect that what I need to do is, go check out all the East Coast Armory videos and see how they do it, because they have some awesome stuff. And he also has a lot of aftermarket parts for this particular kit. But getting back to this, looking at Andy's and the I Love kit, just doing some comparisons on the turrets. I mean, obviously we have some color differences. I noticed on the I Love kit, and this goes for both the turret hatches and the hull hatches, they seem to be larger as opposed to what Andy's has. Okay, you'll notice that his hatch hole is a little bit smaller than the I Love kit, and maybe that changes once you build it and things get a little tighter and closer, and who knows. But right away, on the I Love kit, they come with this rubbery plastic kind of mantle cover, which has some flexibility to it. But I think the trick is going to be how does this get mounted to here without boogering up this material, because it's not easy to paint, not easy to glue. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see. Now, the comparison on the turret, oops, excuse me, I'm squatting here and I almost fell over. You'll notice there's a height difference. Okay, now the I Love kit has some casting numbers here, but if you just and you'll have to take away this edge. As a matter of fact, maybe if we line it up this way, we can get a little bit better comparison. And lift that up. It's close. All right. So height-wise, I think we're okay. But there are some additional numbers on the side of this turret as opposed to what Andy has. Now Andy's mantles, or mantlet, or whatever you want to call it, his kit comes with a couple of them. All right, so you have a couple of options to go with on his kit, and his covers are molded in plastic, so they have much more realistic creasing and details and things like that. The only problem you're going to have is that the gun elevation probably won't be operational as this one might be. So doesn't matter. I mean, a guy's going to pose his kit the way he does. So looking at the turrets from the top, we can see there's a lot of similar details. The casting number, this 7054366, the foundry logos and all that business are the same as they are on his kit. However, this particular serial number or whatever, 0402, is different than this one. So that's good that they made some changes. You'll notice here a little bit difference in the periscope location as opposed to this one, which means that this is probably pivotable and adjustable, as to where this one is not. Okay, the buildup of the periscope here or whatever is a little bit different as well, and it appears that the cupola sizes are about the same. The holes are different, okay? And now, before I go into that, just to put it at ease, you know, I always wonder how many companies are sharing molds with each other, and I can tell you, there's no mold sharing going on here. There's, you know, there's no way this is going together. So it was just a quick test for me to confirm that, you know, these guys are building and designing their own stuff. All right. And again, this is a TACOM product with Andy's Hobby Headquarters label. So humma, humma, humma. All right. Now the hull, you'll notice the hull differences. We've got some nice cast texturing on the hull. The same thing with this one. The thing that I noticed between the two vehicles is that Andy's kits have much more prominent details embedded into their molds. And so they just look crispier, a lot finer. You'll notice here that with the machine gun port has to be built up and is probably movable. This one here is sort of molded in there, and it is what it is. Also, their hull on the I Love kit, the fenders and the skirts and everything are molded into the hull itself. On Andy's, you have to build that stuff up. So you have the individual fenders and the skirts, which is kind of nice because if you're going to, you know, maybe have a damaged fender or a missing fender or whatever, it's much easier to create that effect when they come in pieces like this, as opposed to this version where you'll have to do some cutting. All right. The hull difference is the lower hull. You'll notice here that these bump outs to the hull are already molded in place on Andy's kit. They are not on the I Love kit. You'll have to build those up. But also on theirs, they have, you know, these mounting plates for the suspension are molded into this part of the hull, as to where Andy's will have to be built up. So my philosophy is, if you have to build up parts to get that detail, it's going to look more detailed, period. Because you have nice recesses and nice sharp corners where things are mounting and stuff like that. Andy's kit has an escape hatch. The I Love kit does not. Okay. The bottom molding here similar, but you'll notice Andy's has much more crispier details, okay? I'm assuming that's a drain plug of some type. But, so there's that. So, for some of the detail parts that go on top of the turret, both companies put the majority of their parts on a sprue dedicated to the turret, okay? Same thing with Andy's. Andy's has, like I said, a couple of mantle options for you to use. Here you will notice, for instance, the loader's hatch has the periscope rotatable plate molded into his hatch. And when you look at Andy's, his are separate, okay? So, having not looked at the instructions yet, but this appears to be a pivotable, positionable periscope. The Commander's cupola, I love kit. Basic details are there. And when you look at Andy's, check out the difference. Very crisp details, including the large flathead screws or bolts that secure this thing to the ring that's below it. And there's also some additional parts. One of the things I noticed about this kit is some of the internals of the turret. I didn't notice any internals on the I Love kit, but Andy's has some of the internal breech components, which will be on another sprue, but you'll have some visibility of the main gun on the interior of the turret. Andy's does come with a metal barrel, okay, as a, in lieu of using this plastic barrel. And the plastic version of the barrel obviously is 2 halves. We've got some slide molding here on the muzzle end. So, but anyhow, huge difference in plastic and in details. Now here's the 1919 machine gun. Here are the other side plates to that, and the 50 caliber that they have listed in here. Here's the 50 caliber machine gun parts. Getting back to the other turret bag for the I Love kit, you only have one mantle option. And here's the gun. The gun is actually shorter, and the muzzle brake at the end is in 2 pieces. Okay, these are storage clamps for 50 caliber barrels, and I don't see it on this sprue, but I'm sure they exist on Andy's kit. I just have to find it. Here are the internals of the main gun. So even though the turret isn't fully outfitted, when you look through the hatch, you're going to be able to see the main gun. So the trunnions, the breech, and all that kind of stuff are there. We've got a basket or guards or whatever. I mentioned earlier in the conversation how the I Love kit has the fenders and these skirts molded on. In Andy's kit, they are separate pieces, okay? And that's in this particular sprue. So these will have to be put on separately, which is going to add a level of detail that you're not getting from the other kit. Also, here are the front fenders. Notice they're separate, and the details are a little bit more prominent. Okay? Different hull pieces, mainly the rear end, front transmission area. If you remember from the last video, the front sprocket on the I Love kit, you have to assemble that sprocket piece to the hub. On Andy's kit, it's already molded in place. The other obvious thing that I saw, which I really like about Andy's kit, is these top deck plates, these ventilation plates, okay? Probably the air intakes. When you look at the I Love kit, they're fairly thick and they're solid. When you look at Andy's, there's light shining through them. So those vents are open, okay? And that's a big deal when it comes to details. You know, you're going to have some natural light penetrating through there, as opposed to this one here where you're going to have it painted and you're probably going to put some panel liner in there to highlight those recesses. So it's just another level of detail that Andy put into his kit that is very much appreciated. What else we got here? Here's some more of those, what appears to be vision ports, probably for the driver's hatches. Here you notice that we've got some seats, things like that. Okay, and the support rollers. Now, taking a peek at the suspension, you know, the bogies and stuff. Definitely a different construction process here. Here you're looking at the spring situation on the I Love kit versus Andy's. All right, so they're definitely assembled differently, but there's clearly what appears to be many more parts to build up the suspension. And maybe that's because there's an element of flexibility to the setup. The road wheels on Andy's are molded in plastic to include the tire portion of the road wheel, the rubber. But you'll notice on his, he's got US tire markings on there, as well as the size of the tire embossed into the plastic, which is nice. On this particular kit, you have to put the rubber piece on there. And again, you know, painting this stuff, adhering this stuff or whatever, you know, and I don't even know how this is going to react over time under weight after the model's built. But the only marking on there is what looks like the tire size, and that's scaled down a little bit from what Andy has. But you know, those will have to get mounted to that. The differences in the road wheels. All right, see the crispiness? I just feel that these have more depth. Now maybe the plastic's darker and that's causing that, I don't know. But looking at it, it just seems that these are a little bit finer details. Okay. Here we have similar suspension parts. This appears to have some casting marks in it. These do not. So that's a nice little added detail in there, is to have, you know, casting numbers and things like that in there. What else can I show you? That's the rear roller. And there's another set. I believe that this is the rear roller set on that one. Idler wheel or whatever. Again, look at the detail differences. Okay? Nice and crispy. Here we're looking at Andy's tracks and the system to build it. They come with like little jigs that you can put all these jigs together so you can build a bunch of tracks at the same time. The guide pins, or whatever you want to call them, for each track is already sort of pre-assembled in this fashion. You'll just have to finish up the center guides and stuff like that. On this one, you have to cut a lot of parts and build that as well. But you're driving pins through all of this stuff, okay? And you're putting these end caps separately. So this is going to be a much more challenging build. It's going to take some time to do it, and I'm not sure how well they go together. If you look at the comparison between the track blocks, I can't do this good. You can see the thickness of the pads as opposed to this one. So these are a little bit more thin, and these have a thicker, chunkier feel to them. So those are some of the differences of the track system. Either way, you're going to be a track building fool for a couple of days. All right, getting to Getting to the 50 caliber, remember the darker plastic is Andy's. You can see there's some really nice deep details in the side plate of that 50 caliber. Not so much on this particular one. Here's the other side of the weapon. They slide molded the front portion of the vents here, and on this particular weapon, they also slide molded it and molded it separately. So it's a separate piece. The 50 caliber comes in a different configuration on the I Love kit. The barrel is also slide molded. You don't have to drill that out. That's nice. All right, and we got some jerry cans and some other, ammo cans and stuff here. Let's take a look at the clear plastic and figures. All right, taking a peek at the clear plastic. Both of them are, fairly clear. No issues, right? However, I can't tell if those round circles in there, if I'm looking at a location where the mold released out or whatever, that was ventilation or whatever, but you can tell the headlights are kind of basic. When you look at Andy's headlights, you can see all the etching is on the back side. So when it's installed, you've got a nice crystal clear front end with the internal etching of the headlights, like you would normally see on a vehicle. Now, in Andy's periscopes, I don't see those round ejection pin marks. And, on this particular part of this periscope, most of that's going to be olive drab anyways. Also, the way that the vision ports mount, there's 3-hole pins there for those mounts. These do not have it. Now, that might be because these have to mount from the outside. I have no idea yet. I didn't look at the instructions. But these definitely go in up through the bottom and mount that way, as opposed to these where actually they look like they have to be set in from the outside. So you're going to have some issues there, and you need to be very careful when you build that. So there's definitely some clear differences in the clear parts. No pun intended. Now the figure, Andy's figure, it comes in multiple parts. He is hyper detailed. His head is sculpted pretty nice, but it's in 2 pieces, and you can put the helmet on separately. The helmet has been slide molded, as you can see. And that's good. So the I Love kit comes with a resin figure, and the guy in the kit looks like he's got this scared crapless look on his face. But it is one figure that's going to have to be cut, shaped a little bit, put together. So that'll be interesting to see him versus this guy. His figures always look really cool. So differences in figures. This kit, you get a resin one. This one here, you get it in multiple pieces. So what's it going to be? I Love or Andy's? Okay. You're looking at $139 at Andy's Hobby Headquarters for both versions. He has this version here with Korean War markings and the Easy 8 version. They're both the same price. So that's not a bad deal for what you're getting. This kit, I think the cheapest I found it was $179 currently today as it's listed. My unbiased whatever is cool kit, but Andy gets the win because they are just crispier parts. They look far more detailed, in my opinion. A lot of details, hidden details that are there, and the value for the money. You're paying $40, $50 less for this kit, and I think you're getting a lot more for the kit. You be the judge. You do what you want to do. I'll have them both. It'll be interesting to see how they look when they're both built up. And I'm sure they're going to be good looking tanks. It's just that, if you're a stickler for details and depth and crispiness, then I would be pointing you in this direction. Okay? So that's pretty much all I got on that one. And like I said, I don't have any skin in this game other than being a consumer But you know, I give all these companies love. They're okay. This one here, we'll have to look at that one day. We'll compare that against Andy's Tiger Hobby Boss, and you might be shocked. Yeah, Andy's beats that one by a country mile. I'm just saying. Hey, thanks for watching this little comparison video, and you know, do your math. You know, you know what your wallet can handle, and maybe one day we'll take a peek at that dude right there. Have a good night, good morning, wherever you live in the world. Get out there and build something. Put a piece on something, and yeah.